The United States has just taken one of the most aggressive steps in the history of missile defense. Not with a single rocket, not with a single radar, not with another battery placed on the ground, but with a new kind of shield built above the Earth designed to see danger earlier, react faster, and potentially strike hostile missiles in the most fragile moment of their existence, right after launch, before they become unstoppable weapons crossing the sky. According to Reuters, the U.S. Space Force has awarded contracts worth up to $3.2 billion to 12 companies to develop space-based missile defense interceptor systems. That number alone is massive. But the real story is not just the money. The real story is what the money is trying to buy, a future where America does not wait for missiles to come closer. It reaches upward, into orbit, and builds the first layer of defense in space. This is the heart of Golden Dome, the ambitious missile defense architecture pushed under President Donald Trump. According to Reuters, the broader Golden Dome plan is expected to cost around $185 billion. Defense Scoop reported that the Pentagon is asking for $17.5 billion in fiscal year 2027 for the program, although only $398 million would come from the base budget, with the rest depending on additional congressional funding. In other words, this is not a small experiment. This is a national-scale military transformation. The United States is looking at a world where ballistic missiles, hypersonic weapons, advanced cruise missiles, and other aerial threats are no longer theoretical problems. According to Space Systems Command, Executive Order 41186 described attacks by ballistic, hypersonic, and cruise missiles as one of the most catastrophic threats facing the United States. That language is not accidental. It reflects a new strategic reality. America's adversaries are building faster, more maneuverable, harder to track weapons, and the old defensive model may not be enough. For decades, missile defense has mostly been about reacting from the ground. Sensors detect the launch. Command systems calculate the trajectory. Interceptors fire from land or sea, trying to destroy the threat during flight. But Golden Dome is pushing the battlefield upward. Space Systems Command says the Space-Based Interceptor program is designed to develop a space-based missile defense interceptor system integrated into the Golden Dome architecture by 2028. That means the US wants an initial capability in just 2 years. And the companies chosen for this race reveal the scale of the ambition. According to Space Systems Command, the awards went to Endural Industries, Booz Allen Hamilton, General Dynamics Mission Systems, GID AI USA, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Quindar, Raytheon, SciTech, True Anomaly, and Turian Space. Reuters also reported SpaceX among the companies involved. This is not just the old defense industry. This is a hybrid army of legacy giants, software firms, space startups, autonomy specialists, satellite operators, and next-generation military technology companies. That mix matters, because Golden Dome is not only about interceptors, it is about an entire combat network. Satellites, sensors, artificial intelligence, command and control systems, launch infrastructure, data fusion, and fast decision-making. Space Systems Command said proven U.S. missile defense systems must be integrated with next-generation space-based tracking and advanced interceptors supported by artificial intelligence to counter the speed, maneuverability, and lethality of modern threats. This is where the story becomes extraordinary. The Space-Based Interceptor program is not designed merely to hit missiles late in flight. According to Breaking Defense, the planned constellation would operate in proliferated low Earth orbit and be capable of boost, mid-course, and glide phase engagements. That phrase sounds technical, but its meaning is explosive. Boost phase is the earliest stage. When a missile has just launched, engines are burning, heat signatures are bright, and the weapon has not yet released decoys or maneuvered into a more complex path. That is the window America wants to dominate. Imagine the strategic difference. A hostile missile rises from enemy territory. Instead of waiting for it to travel thousands of miles, instead of waiting for it to separate, maneuver, confuse radars, or threaten US cities, an orbital interceptor network could detect and engage it while it is still climbing. Not before physical launch, but before it becomes the nightmare it was designed to become. Before it reaches full speed, before it becomes a problem for the homeland. Before the enemy's attack plan has time to mature. According to Reuters, the Space Force awarded 20 agreements in late 2025 and early 2026 with a combined potential value of up to $3.2 billion to maintain flexibility and keep competition alive. That detail is critical. Washington is not placing all its bets on one company. It is creating a technological battlefield inside the defense industry itself, 12 companies competing, 20 agreements. Prototypes moving toward demonstration. The prize is not only the first contract. The prize is the future of American missile defense. Defense's Scoop reported that the prototypes are slated for demonstration and integration into Golden Dome by 2028, while a complete architecture is expected in the mid-2030s. That gives the project two timelines, the urgent timeline and the historic timeline. The urgent timeline is about proving that space-based interceptors can work. The historic timeline is about building an operational shield that can cover the United States against the next generation of missile threats. And this is why the number $3.2 billion is only the beginning. Reuters reported that smaller Golden Dome prototype contracts had already started a race for future deals worth tens of billions of dollars. The companies that prove they can build, launch, command, and operate this architecture could become the industrial backbone of America's orbital defense era. This is not just procurement. This is the birth of a new defense market. But there's another side to the story, risk. Breaking Defense reported that Golden Dome's leader, Space Force General Michael Getlane, has stressed affordability and said that if the space-based interceptor concept cannot be done affordably, it will not move into production. That is a major warning. Space-based missile defense has been imagined for decades, going back to the Strategic Defense Initiative era of the 1980s. The idea is powerful, but the engineering is brutal. Satellites must survive in orbit. Interceptors must be positioned correctly. Sensors must detect launches instantly. Command systems must decide quickly. And the entire network must function under pressure, possibly during a nuclear crisis. Still, something has changed. Launch costs are lower. Commercial space is more mature. Satellite manufacturing is faster. Private firms are more capable. Defense's Scoop noted that space-based interceptors have become more feasible because of advances in technology and reduced launch costs. That is the hidden engine behind Golden Dome. The same commercial space revolution that put reusable rockets, satellite constellations, and private launch companies at the center of the global economy is now being pulled directly into national defense. And that is why SpaceX's reported role matters. That is why Anduril matters. That is why True Anomaly, Turion, Quindar, and other newer firms matter alongside Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and General Dynamics. America is not only relying on the traditional arsenal. It is trying to combine Silicon Valley speed, commercial space scale, defense industrial experience, artificial intelligence, and orbital warfare concepts into one shield. The result could redefine deterrence. If an adversary believes its missiles can be tracked from space, engaged shortly after launch, and destroyed before reaching their most dangerous phase, the calculation changes. A missile arsenal becomes less reliable. Surprise attacks become harder. Coercion becomes weaker. And the United States gains something far more powerful than a defensive wall. It gains time. Time to detect. Time to decide. Time to respond. Time to survive. That is the secret force behind Golden Dome. It is not only about shooting down missiles. It is about moving the defensive line from American skies to the edge of space. It is about refusing to let the next war begin on the enemy's terms. It is about building a system that watches from above, calculates in seconds, and turns orbit into the first battlefield of homeland defense. So the question is no longer whether America wants a missile shield. The question is whether America can build one fast enough, affordable enough, and powerful enough to change the balance of global power before its adversaries change it first. What do you think about this new frontier of space defense? Is the United States building the future of homeland security or opening the door to a dangerous new arms race in orbit? Leave your opinion in the comments, tell us what city and country you are watching from, and subscribe to follow the next chapter of America's technological rise. Because if Golden Dome works, the next missile war may not be decided on land, at sea, or in the air. It may be decided above the planet, in the silent darkness of space.